Good evening, everyone. My name is Wes Males. I'm the President and CEO of the Culpeper Chamber of Commerce. And on behalf of the Chamber, thank you for joining us for tonight's event. So before we officially begin, I would like to thank the Chamber staff, Amy Frazier for organizing tonight's event, and Lorraine Carter for assisting with logistics. Amy and Lorraine are in the back, so thank you, both of you. Culpeper Media Network for filming tonight's event, which will be available to view on their Facebook and YouTube pages and on culpepermedia.org. The Culpeper Times and Culpeper Star Exponent for covering tonight's event. The Town of Culpeper and Culpeper County for their continued support. The Culpeper County Voter Registration and Election Office for providing data to help prepare for these forums, and Germanna Community College for providing this venue. Tonight's forum will consist of two panels. First, you will hear from candidates running for the County Treasurer Office, and afterwards you will hear from candidates running for Culpeper County School Board. The Culpeper Chamber of Commerce believes it is the right of every American to vote. And with that right, it is important to be informed about who your candidates are and where they stand on issues. Because of this, it is an honor and privilege for the Culpeper Chamber of Commerce to host these forums. I'd like to now introduce our moderator for this evening, Jeff Say. Jeff has been a member of the Culpeper community for 15 years, working for several media and press companies. He is heavily involved in the community, currently serving on the Salvation Army Advisory Board as secretary. He lives in Culpeper with his wife, Sarah, a kindergarten teacher at Emerald Hill Elementary School, and his three girls, Maddie, Maura, and Macy. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Say.
Thank you. Welcome to our candidates. Thank you for joining us for our forum here tonight. We have been briefed on the rules, but to go over it with the public, each candidate will have 2 minutes for introduction at the beginning of the forum and 2 minutes for a closing statement at the end. Candidates are reminded that this is a forum and not a debate, which means that all candidates will be asked the same question and will have 2 minutes to respond. Candidates will please refrain from directing responses to other candidates or directly speaking to the candidates responding to the questions. Please address the audience when responding to questions. The moderator, myself, will be keeping time and will utilize the light system of green, yellow, and red. This will serve as a way for the candidate to be warned with the yellow light at 30 seconds and to please complete response before the red light comes on. So we'll start with introductions tonight for the Culpeper County Treasurer race, and we will begin with Miss Alexa Fritz.
Please turn on. Oh.
Go right ahead.
Hi, I'm Alexa Fritz. Through a variety of experiences that have allowed for my growth and development of the skills necessary, I am the most qualified candidate to manage the office for the treasurer. I have the accounting and business knowledge in both the private and the government sectors. As the current sitting supervisor of the Salem District for the past 7 years, I have worked on and understand all aspects of the Culpeper budget. The processes we use to levy the taxes, the systems in place to process the annual taxes. At the board level, we approve the updates to the Bright accounting system. These updates allow for greater efficiency and transparency of our county budgets and payments. I have reviewed the county budgets, including all county departments and constitutional offices. Appropriated funds set the tax rate. As a county representative, I've been to Richmond to work with our delegates and senators, and I'm familiar with our state representatives that influence the county taxing authority. In the private industry with Fritz Realty, I have managed the company's finances, books, and tax reportings and have been responsible for the payment of real and personal property taxes. I have managed employees on a multitude of levels, and I have the management skills necessary to smoothly facilitate the office processes. There is a wonderful staff already in place, so the transition would be a smooth one. My goal is to provide a conservative management style following GAAP principles, the general accepted accounting principles, and be a constructive manager of the office and its employees. As a treasurer, I will represent the entire constituency as a whole, and I will consistently seek ways to improve the system, conservatively manage funds, and encourage transparency while acquiring the additional training necessary to become the certified through the Treasurers Association of Virginia. I have good communication skills, an eye for detail, and I will bring the professional experience necessary to serve as the next treasurer on Culpeper County.
Thank you, Alexa. And next will be Mr. Aaron Mitchell.
Hello, everyone. I want to thank you all for coming out tonight, and thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event to allow the public to get to know us a little bit better. The youngest treasurer in Virginia history, George Titus, started serving Loudoun County at the age of 21. He held that position for 38 years before retiring. He was great at his job, and Culpeper's treasurer at the time, Bud Glass, called him the treasurer's treasurer, the one that everyone went to answers for. My name is Aaron Mitchell, and I'm 26 years old, and I'm running as an independent for Culpeper County Treasurer. I bring this up because I wanted to tell you about George's story and how he was a great asset for his community, and I too believe my youth can be and will be an asset to this position. In my opening and closing statements, I will detail why my age and experience will only benefit my ability to hold the position of County Treasurer and to tell you a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Culpeper, and after graduating from Culpeper County High School, I attended Radford University. I graduated with 2 bachelor's degrees, one in business finance and the other in criminal justice, and I have an extensive background in the rental property business. If elected, I believe my combination of degrees will be a huge benefit to me while serving as treasurer. My finance background will help in the safekeeping of the county's funds, and my criminal justice degree will be used in interpreting and understanding tax law. The language in any form of law is very easy to misinterpret without being well-versed, which is why I think it's important for someone to have an understanding of interpretation of law in this position. If elected, I will not be afraid of hard work and long hours when work needs to be done, and I plan to take on the position of the Culpeper County Treasurer with a new and energetic mindset. I look forward to answering questions that will explain why I'd be a great fit for this office. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. And now, Mrs. Denise Wetzel.
Good evening, everyone. I am Denise Wetzel. I am here tonight to ask for your vote for me to serve as your county treasurer. If you are sitting here tonight, it means you want information that will help you decide which candidate will be the most qualified, the most experienced, and the person you can trust to be responsible for the receipt and collection, the safekeeping, and the appropriate accounting for and disbursement of revenue. Now, start over or start where I stop. You're here on your own time because you care about the county and how your tax dollars are collected, and you want to make sure I care about it just as much as you do. You want to know when you have a tax problem regarding that you can come to the treasurer directly. You want to know that the treasurer has the knowledge, the experience, and the commitment to serve all of Culpeper County citizens equally, regardless of political relationships. You want to know the treasurer is experienced in finance, tax laws, and regulations. You want to know the treasurer has a sound working relationship with the Commissioner of the Revenue, other county resources throughout the state to enable her to help you with any problems you may have. You want to make sure that person brings real experience, competence, and integrity to the office, not just platitudes. Many of you know me from years in a local bank and in the Commissioner of the Revenue's office. For those of you who may not know me, there are cards over on the table that has my name, my email address. Feel free to call me. It's got my phone number on it. Please give me a call. We can talk. I can get back to you within 24 hours. The question I get most often from voters is, why are you running for this office? That answer is very simple. When I learned that Treasurer DeJarnett was not going to seek re-election, I wanted the Treasurer's office to continue to run as smoothly, as efficiently, and as customer service oriented as possible. I wanted the next treasurer to be as taxpayer-focused, as experienced, and as competent as possible. I believe that person is me, and I hope you will too. I thank you for listening to me tonight, and I ask for your vote on November 5th.
Thank you very much. And finally, Mrs. Missy White.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Just want to make sure we're on. I wanted to thank the Chamber for hosting the event and to Mr. Say for being with us tonight. Thank you all for coming out and being informed voters. It really is very important. My name is Missy Norris White, and I'm thrilled to be your Republican nominee running for Culpeper County Treasurer. I was also born and raised here in Culpeper County, and I'm passionate about serving my hometown, a place that I love. I'm a 1990 graduate of Culpeper County High School, where I was a varsity athlete and honors society student. I was also elected my senior class treasurer and was on the Fellowship of Christian Athletes Club as well as Students Against Drunk Drivers. I pursued my education right down the road at University of Mary Washington, where I obtained my bachelor's degree in business administration with a concentration in accounting, and then came back home. My parents, George and Cindy Norris, who are here with us tonight, are also both lifelong Culpeper residents. My dad is a Marine Corps veteran and served in the Vietnam War, and as you can imagine, he instilled in us at a very young age pride in community and country. My sister, Kylie Norris Hitt, also a Mary Washington graduate and lifelong Culpeper resident, is starting her 19th year at Culpeper County Public Schools as a teacher. I'm the proud mom of Gage Robson. He is a 14-year-old Eastern View High School freshman, where he is an honor roll student and a current member of the varsity golf team. And that's actually where he is tonight, and I understand he's not doing very well, so say a prayer for the rest of that night. My husband, Nick White, has also served his entire career in public service. He started out in 1999 as a public school teacher and then turned his career to law enforcement, where he started as a Virginia State Trooper and now currently serves as a captain with the Culpeper Sheriff's Office. So as you can see, I'm heavily rooted in Culpeper, and I will be honored to be elected as your next Culpeper Treasurer. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. We'll start our questions off tonight with Mrs. Fritz. And the first question is, what is your financial and leadership management experience?
Serving on the board, we do review the entire county budget, so we need to pull out, we get information from all of the departments of the Culpeper County and the constitutional officers, and we review the budget, we levy, determine the tax rates and set them. So, I've overseen the entire county budget. Also, on the private level, I've worked in Fritz Realty. I'm the owner, broker of the company. So I do all of the financial books for the company. I do all of the tax reportings, pay the personal property, real estate taxes, and what have you. I've also worked with my clients, in the real estate aspect, doing pretty much the same. I work with banks and foreclosures, and so taxes are always something I'm dealing with on a regular day-to-day basis. Previously, I worked also in retail. I've been in management where I've done the books and accounting as well. So I have plenty of accounting experience. But the main thing I think is going to be management of the office. We have a great staff there. David's done an awesome job getting they run smooth as a top. But that is the thing that I think the treasurer's going to be able to manage the team and keep it going as smoothly as it's been going along. And as Ms. Wetzel stated, we do need to work together closely with the Commissioner of the Revenue because they are in the same building. And so we need to work and make sure coordinate events well with them. And I think that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mitchell, same question. What is your financial and leadership management experience?
Well, I want to start by saying that my work began at Culpeper Human Services Head Start. I was initially hired on as an intern. I created a new budget spreadsheet. Everything that they had, it was good, but I wanted to make it better, which is what I would like to do in the treasurer's office. I redid a new Excel spreadsheet to make everything more simple, more organized, and more efficient. I now work at Head Start full-time through my hard work and everything through there. My other experience is also with the real estate. I've worked my whole life with my father and doing rental properties. And through that, I have overseen projects, overseen employees, and it's not always the easiest thing to do, but you do have to make decisions that aren't always the easiest. The biggest thing I've learned out of this business and running my own property successfully is collections, which is the most important task of the treasurer's office. And I've learned a lot about it and how you work with individuals when real-life situations can hinder payments. For example, if there's a family that is delinquent in taxes, and a few years in their house with major illness or their family had a death or a loss of job, you really have to know when you should do a tax lien or if you need to work with them and set up a payment plan, which is what I would like to do because I wouldn't like to hurt any of the citizens in Culpeper. If I am elected, I would like to do what's in the best interest for the community financially while doing my best work with individuals along the way. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mrs. Wetzel, same question. What is your financial and leadership management experience?
My background experience in financial is with 28 years in a local bank. During that time, I started out as a teller while I was in high school. I moved on to the accounting department, moved on then to the loan department, and that is where I spent the rest of my career with them in different various steps along the way. While I was in the loan department, I was promoted to loan operations manager. The biggest thing that we had to do there was I had to take 3 banks that was under the one umbrella, the holding company, and combine them into one loan operations center. So brought those 3 banks into one, started with a staff of 4, ended with a staff of 17 when the final merger went through. During that time, I was also promoted to vice president, and I was vice president when I left the bank. While I was in loan operations, I also worked on what's called participation loans, and that's loans that multiple banks come together and lend on their multi-million-dollar loans. So I was able to work on those loans, process the documents, disperse the money, and do the balancing on those funds. I also did credit review, so as loan officers made loans, they actually came through my desk for review and actually did risking on those to see if we were going to abstain a loss at any time. I worked on 2 merger teams at the bank. I was also part of the audit team. Then in 2008, I went to the Commissioner of the Revenue's office, and I've been working with taxation, which is what the treasurer does, is they collect taxation along with other things. So I've got the experience with the taxation, track the General Assembly changes as it affects local taxation and make sure that everyone gets treated the same, make sure that policies and procedures are put into effect as the changes are made. I have implemented discovery tools that has increased the revenue for Culpeper County, and assist with the budget, assist with projections of revenue, and the PPTR percentage. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And finally, for Mrs. White, the same question. What is your financial and leadership management experience?
Well, I have been blessed to have worked all 25 years of my career in the business, finance, and accounting world. Some of you may not look at that as a blessing, but I actually do. After graduating from Mary Washington in '94, I managed the financial records of a law firm of Niles, Delaney, Parker, and Lauer, a 4-office law firm with an office here in Culpeper. For those 2 years, I was responsible for preparing their financial statements, their billing, receivables, payables, payroll processing, and payroll tax reporting. For the next 10 years, I worked as an accountant for Jefferson Home Builders, where I was primarily responsible for the collections of the receivables of multiple Culpeper wood preserving plants. For the last 3 years that I worked there, the annual sales for these plants averaged approximately $300 million per year. Those sales, of course, turned into receivables, which I'm happy to say turned into collections. I also performed additional accounting duties there, such as writing journal entries, financial statement preparation, bank reconciliations, and daily review of the company's investment lines. For the past 13 years, I have been the Chief Financial Officer of the Culpeper County Sheriff's Office. I have served under 3 different sheriffs, as I was initially hired in 2006 by Sheriff Lee Hart, and then 2008 by Sheriff Jim Branch, and have been working with Sheriff Scott Jenkins since 2012. I am responsible for all financial functions of the Sheriff's Office, which is the 3rd largest department in the county. These duties include, but are not limited to, budget preparation and management, payroll management, approving and processing payables, monthly and annual certifications with the Virginia Compensation Board, grant management and reporting, as well as the collection and allocation of miscellaneous receipts. I'm also the liaison between the Sheriff's Office and other finance departments, including payroll, IT matters, and finance. I pride myself on having an excellent working relationship with these other departments, to include the County Board of Supervisors, the County Administrator, and the County Finance Director.
Thank you, Mrs. White. And we will start with the second question with Mrs. White. In your own words, define the role of the county treasurer.
The treasurer is a constitutional officer as set forth in the Constitution of Virginia. The duties of the treasurer are expressed in the Code of Virginia, as are those of the other constitutional officers, to include the sheriff, the commissioner of the revenue, and the Commonwealth attorney. Sometimes the duties between the treasurer and the commissioner of revenue get a little confused, and I think it's important that we realize that the treasurer collects the taxes, the commissioner of the revenue assesses the value of your property, and the board of supervisors actually sets the tax rates. So yes, those bodies of governments do work very closely together, but I think it needs to be noted that they have very different roles and responsibilities. I say all of this to say that the three main functions of the treasurer are the collection of revenue, the oversight of the county's investments, and the reconciling of the county's accounts and disbursement of funds. I think voters should vote for me because, as you have heard, I'm the only candidate with real working experience in all three of those areas. I have been responsible for the collection of hundreds of millions of dollars. I have worked directly with financial institutions making decisions about investment lines. And I have 25 years of actual experience in finance and accounting with reconciliations and disbursements. So vote for experience, vote for qualifications, and vote Missy Norris White on November 5th.
Okay, Ms. Wetzel, same question. In your own words, define the role of the county treasurer.
The county treasurer's responsibility is to collect the revenue. It is to do the investment for the Culpeper County. It is also to safeguard all of your information, safeguard the revenue. I have experience on all of those. As I've said, I've worked with taxation for the last 10 years, and who better to work with your taxation and collect your taxes than somebody who's worked with it and is familiar with it already. Not only do they collect the taxes, there is other revenue that also comes into that office. And this is the revenue that would be protected. I am very familiar with confidentiality. I am very familiar with safeguarding your information. And part of the job that I have with the Commissioner of the Revenue's office, we prepare your tax tickets already. That information then is shared with the Treasurer's office. That information is then shared with our vendor. We have to be very careful with safeguarding your information. This is your personal information, your name, your address, your social security number, everything. I am very familiar with doing that and consider that to be a very big responsibility. Just completely lost my train of thought, sorry. I'm already familiar with the staff in the Treasurer's office. We have a good working relationship between our two offices. We work hand in hand already. As Ms. White said, we assess the personal property in our office, and then we pass that along to the Treasurer's office that then does the collecting. I have done collecting. We do collect in our office. We work with the state income tax and we collect there. We work with some consumer taxes and we collect there. That money then is forwarded on to the Treasurer's office, but we do collections in our office as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And now for Mr. Mitchell, the same question. In your own words, define the role of the county treasurer.
The county treasurer is the CFO of the locality, collecting taxes and local fees and making payments on behalf of all of the citizens in Culpeper. The treasurer is responsible for every form of revenue, whether it be state, local, or federal. There's three primary functions, as Missy said earlier, of the treasurer's office: the receipt and collection of revenue, the safekeeping of the revenue, and the appropriate accounting and disbursement of the revenue. My background in collections, I believe, makes me an ideal candidate for it because with rental properties, you deal with non-payment of rental, and you do try to work with people to make the best of their world and the best of yours. You don't want to kick somebody out of their house just because they didn't pay it. I've had the situation before, and I do like to set up payment plans with them. I try to not charge late fees if they come up with payment, which I know is not an option in the treasurer's office because it is required by law to charge the penalty fees. But I do believe that the collections that I have to deal with in my rental businesses makes me a great candidate for the treasurer's office, because when you are delinquent on taxes, you want to deal with somebody that is understanding and empathetic about what you have to go through with your life. You don't want somebody that's going to come in there and be straightforward and not understand your situation and that you would like to deal with. And I believe I'm a great candidate for that. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Mrs. Fritz, in your own words, define the role of the county treasurer.
The county treasurer was established by the state government in the 1800s to be the fiduciary executive of all the funds of the county. The treasurer does collect all of the monies that come into the county and then disperses them and accounts for them. Monies collected comes from real estate, personal property, machinery and tools tax, sales and occupancy taxes, licenses, business and planning permits, fines and forfeitures, court costs, fees, in any state and federal funding that might come into the county. The county has a budget of $171,000, and real estate taxes for FY20 is budgeted to bring in $34,277,000. Personal property taxes is estimated to come in at $25+ million. So it's a big job, a big task, taking on being the fiduciary responsibility for the county and the taxpayers to this money. We do have to be empathetic. The people that do come in are our citizens, and oftentimes there are challenges that go on in people's lives, so we have to understand that when they come into the office and deal with them accordingly. So the treasurer's office has got to be an empathetic group. We do have to work with all of the county departments to facilitate the process of the money, as well as work with the Board of Supervisors who levies the tax rates. So basically, we are the CFO of the county, take care of the money, and vote Alexa Fritz for treasurer. Thank you.
Thank you. And now each candidate will have 2 minutes for closing remarks. We'll begin with Mrs. Fritz.
I love Culpeper County, and I have been proud to represent the constituents of the county at the board level. I'm excited for the opportunity to continue serving as your treasurer. I will utilize the knowledge and experiences I have gained on the board and in private industry to fully represent the community as a whole without bias. The office of the treasurer does come with challenges that need to be overcome with constituent taxing questions. This requires good communication skills, which I have achieved through real estate negotiations and at the board level. My goal is to provide a conservative management style, be a constructive manager of the office and its employees. I will consistently seek ways to improve the system, conservatively manage funds, and encourage transparency. Through my relationships with our county board heads, constitutional officers, the Board of Supervisors, our county administrator, and our state representatives, I will effectively communicate the needs of the office and the citizens. I have been involved with the entire county budget for the last 7 years and am familiar with and comfortable with all county and state regulations that affect our tax collection policies. I have the business experience in accounting, government, and management this position will require. I have been an active participant in the community and business, as well as being involved in several civic organizations. I have good communication skills, an eye for detail, and I will bring a conservative management style as well as the professional experience necessary to serve as your next treasurer of Culpeper. I would like to thank our current treasurer, Mr. David Desjarnet, for his work and dedication to the office. He has set the office up for a smooth transition for any candidate that will be coming in to take his position. He has represented the county well, and his service to the community is greatly appreciated. I would like to also extend my thanks to the Culpeper Chamber of Commerce for hosting this forum and allowing us to present ourselves, and thank you to all of you for taking the time out of your busy schedules and come tonight and familiarize yourselves with the candidates. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Fritz. Now I'll turn the floor over to Mr. Mitchell for 2 minutes for his closing remarks.
As I heard about David Desjarnet's retirement, I spoke to my parents about running for this position, and I went and talked to David himself. Through our meeting, we discussed everything that goes on in the treasurer's office, what the treasurer does, and there wasn't anything there that frightened me or that I thought I couldn't do. I thought I'd be a very good fit for that position. I'm always willing to work with individuals within the guidelines of the law who are trying to better their situation. As I said before, I've worked with people who've gone through the illness and the death in the family, and when you have delinquent taxes, a lot of times with that, those are what set you up for that. I've set up payment plans with them, as I would like to do with the community today for taxes. This job will require making very difficult decisions at times, and decisions that I am willing and capable of making, but I want to do it with an open mind and empathy to every citizen in Culpeper. I am a very fast learner and very willing to learn from and collaborate with the colleagues in order to run the treasurer's office to the best of my ability. now and for many years to come, just as the last treasurers of Culpeper have. I'm in it for the long haul, and I would like to serve the community the best of my ability, and as I said, for a very long time if given the opportunity to. If you want a treasurer that is open-minded, hardworking, empathetic, and that is willing to serve the community, then I ask for you to vote for me, Aaron Mitchell, on November 5th. I hope you all have a great night. Thank you all for coming, and thank you to the Chamber for hosting this event. And thank you again, and vote Aaron Mitchell November 5th.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Ms. Wetzel, your floor is yours for 2 minutes.
I would like to thank the Chamber for hosting this event and for everyone for coming out tonight and listening. As Ms. White said, being able to come out and vote is one of the most greatest honors that we as Americans have. I believe that I have developed the necessary relationships and skills that would make me the most qualified candidate for your treasurer. As I stated earlier, who better to work with your taxes as treasurer than somebody who's already worked with your taxes for the last 10 years on the Commissioner of the Revenue side. I do know the Commissioner of the Revenue side, so that would be a great help in going over to the treasurer side and being able to see the whole picture. I am already familiar with the revenue accounting system that we use. It's the same system that we use in the Commissioner of the Revenue's office. As I stated before, I already know the staff, so I feel that the transition would be a very smooth one for all of us and be very cost efficient for the county as taxpayers. I like to just say the 28 years banking experience again and the 10 years with the Commissioner of the Revenue's office, so I am the candidate with your financial banking background and the taxation background as well. Again, I would like to show my appreciation to everyone coming out tonight. Thank you very much for listening, and please vote for Wetzel on November 5th.
Thank you, Ms. Wetzel. And finally, Ms. Norris-White, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Is your time. I have 2 minutes for closing remarks.
Sure. I also would like to thank you all for coming out tonight and for the media for being here so that those who couldn't be here can at least catch it at some other point. I am confident that after you all have heard about my qualifications and extensive financial experience background, that you will agree that I am the clear choice to be Culpeper's next treasurer. And let me explain to you what I mean by clear. As a Culpeper native, I'm committed to being an active and energetic member of this community, one that I believe in and love. I've spent countless numbers of hours volunteering in and around Culpeper, and I will continue to do so. I believe in leadership through personal example and hard work, not just position. I pledge to work hard for you and to continue to provide the same level of service that you're currently getting at the Treasurer's office. I'm the only candidate with both education and experience. I have a bachelor's degree and 25 solid years of finance, business, and accounting experience. I will be accountable to you. I will be readily available to citizens who have concerns or questions. And I am responsible. I promise to bring my work ethic and guiding principle of financial responsibility to the Office of Treasurer. In closing, I would like to ask all of you who do support me to tell your friends, your family, your coworkers, your neighbors why you're supporting me. It could be as simple as we went to high school together, our kids played sports together, or you might know my parents, whatever that reason might be, share it with them. Have them give me a call or look at my website and have them see that I am ready, qualified, and willing to be your next treasurer. Second, pray for me and my family as we finish out this campaign season, and so that we would have strength and grace to survive it. It's tough out there, and it's tiring. I'm sure these folks would agree and would appreciate a prayer or two along the way as well. Finally, I am genuinely, sincerely, and humbly asking for your vote on November 5th. Thank you all so much.
Thank you very much. And now we will take a 5-minute break before having school board candidates join us for their forum. Thank you. Welcome, everyone, to the school board portion of our forum tonight. We are going to start with 2-minute introductions, and we will begin on my left with the Culpeper District Representative Barbie Brown. Ms. Brown?
Good evening. First, I would like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this, the Culpeper Times, the Culpeper Star Exponent, the media for being here, and it certainly is reflective of how serious the community takes elections and what happens politically within our society. My introduction includes that I am a native of Warren County. I went back to Warren County and taught for 12 years, and Mr. Pearson, who is principal of CCHS, hired me to teach, and then he also hired me to be an assistant principal after a couple years. I was at CCHS until Eastern View opened, and then I was transferred to help open Eastern View because I had experience. And then I volunteered to take on alternative education for the last 10 years of my career. So I have 41 years of public school experience. And when I retired a year and a half ago, I thought that I needed to give that experience back to the community. Being a government teacher early on, I was explaining to kids how you have to give back to your society. And so perhaps it was time for me to do something other than give back through the school system. I have a degree in social science from James Madison University. I have a master's degree in curriculum and instruction from Virginia Tech. I was inducted into the Warren County Hall of Fame last year, which was a great reward that they gave to me, and I was very appreciative of that. If you ask anyone about Barbie Brown, who is in the school system or knows me from anywhere else, they will tell you, I am about the children, and I am about what is best for the children, no matter where I go. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now we will move to the East Fairfax District with Patricia Baker.
Good evening. I'm Pat Baker, an East Fairfax candidate for re-election to the Culpeper County School Board. I am presently in my 4th year of my first term, and with the support of East Fairfax voters, I would appreciate the opportunity to serve a second term. It is important to know the qualifications of the candidates seeking public office. I am very confident about my ability, knowledge, and willingness to serve. I am a retired educator with 38 years of classroom experience. I taught from preschool through graduate school at the University of Mary Washington, including 26 years in Virginia teaching gifted education. I've received many recognitions and awards during my career, including earning my National Board certification. But the most significant qualification I have while running for re-election in 2019 is the fact that I am on the board, doing the job, and am presently the chairman of the board. I am one of a 7-member board that collaborates, stays positive, and has been very productive. Examples of productivity over the past 4 years include, but are not limited to, approval of written policy for arming our SSOs for increased student security, increase in salary for all employee classifications, adherence to a salary guide guaranteeing step increases, improved stipends, improved supplements for master's degree, and a possible 75% master's tuition reimbursement, increased payout for accumulated sick leave, worked on student bus time issue, redistrict for program equity, and opened a family resource center. And the greatest accomplishment was the vision, the proposal, the plan, the process, and the ongoing procedure to complete the Career and Technical Education School, giving Culpeper County students and residents access to training and credentials that the business partners require. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Staying in the East Fairfax District, we will now hear from Paige Durham. Ms. Durham?
Thank you. Hello, my name is Paige Durham, and I want to be your school board representative for the East Fairfax District. I have placed myself on this ballot in November so that I may pay it forward to the community that has helped make me who I am and accomplish all that I have done. My top 3 priorities are safety, student achievement, and community engagement. As safety is something that is a basic need, we must make sure that our schools are safe. I believe that every child and teacher needs to know how to handle a crisis with thoughtful, research-based education. I also think we need to partner with our local law enforcement to provide both building security as well as resources. I know that we do not have a full-time officer in each building, and this is one thing that I would like to see with the cooperation from the Sheriff's Department and our Board of Supervisors. All students have the right to be successful and achieve their goals. I would like to see the school board to continue their support of career and technical education and go even farther. We want all of our students to graduate and be able to choose their future path. We should investigate options outside of our locality so that students who are excelling in subjects where we do not have the resources are allowed to obtain their desired goals, either a college path or one that leads directly into the workforce. Community engagement is necessary for school system to thrive and students to be most successful. Engaging a community requires clear, consistent communication. Communication in today's time is easy to do, as there are many forms in which we can communicate. I would like to see the CCPS enhance their communication tool so that it effectively communicates and reflects the needs of families. This enhanced tool will also provide the community with information that will allow them to know how they can be the most supportive. I believe that all things can be accomplished by clear communication, nonpartisan decisions based upon facts and research, and fiscal responsibility. We know that our children deserve the best, and we can offer them, and I want to help you make that possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Durham. Now, moving to the Salem District, we will hear from Ann Luckenbill. Ms. Luckenbill?
Well, thank you, Jeff, for hosting tonight, and to Germana for giving us the space to do this. I'm in my 12th year on the board, and I have largely enjoyed my time on the board and learned so much. And the relationships that we forge as board members is priceless, right? I know many of you sitting in this room because of my time on the board. I've been married to my husband, Gene, for 22 years. And we have 4 children, 2 of whom have gone through Culpeper schools. They're in college now, and 2 who are at Eastern View. We've had just wide experience with the programs and the people of Culpeper schools and found them to be very positive. Our children, the 2 who are out of the system, were well prepared for their college choices. We are making great improvements in career and tech. We are, as many of you are aware, building a facility to equip our children to leave with skills to enter directly into the workforce if they choose to do so. Excuse me, it's a huge deal for Culpeper. I am pleased to be seeking another term on the board, and I look forward to serving you all for 4 more years.
Thank you. And now, we will move over to the West Fairfax District with Christina Burnett. Ms. Burnett?
Hi, I'm Chrissy Burnett, and I grew up in Northern Virginia. I went to Fairfax County Schools. I am 51, and this is the first time I've run for a public position or office. I went to college and studied journalism and communication. I minored in small business. I started my master's in counseling before I graduated with my journalism and communication degrees. I put myself through college and worked for 10 years before I became married, and I was married for 22 years. I recently lost my husband, Scott, and we had 2 children together, and 2 of those those 2 children graduated from Eastern View High School, Cullen Burnett and Amelia Brooke Burnett. Amelia now is in her senior year. She is her senior class president, and Cullen is an internationally certified commercial diver. They did not, one went the college route, one went the trade route. And I think that with my upbringing and background being diverse, I had a stepfather who was Jewish. We had a Hanukkah bush for Christmas because we wanted to be all-inclusive and include the whole family in traditions and making our own new traditions. I was a former PTO and Athletic Booster Club president. I was a substitute teacher for 10 years in Culpeper County. I've lived in Culpeper County now for 16 years. I taught, I think, at 8 out of the 10 schools in Culpeper County. My kids went to 5 out of the 10 schools in Culpeper County. I taught every subject, every grade level. And I was also a former soccer, cheer, and girls on the run coach. I was I was also a board member for my HOA in our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. And staying in the West Fairfax District, we will now hear from Ed Dunphy. Mr. Dunphy?
Good evening. I'd like to welcome all the candidates here, and I'd like to thank them for the effort that it takes to just to get on the ballot, for example, and then to run an effective campaign. And I really compliment all of you for standing up and doing this. My wife and Marilyn and I have been in this community for a long time. We both completed careers here. We first came to the area in '79, and we moved to Orange County, and our children went through the Orange County school system, and I was the president of the Unionville PTA. I spent 30 years at the Culpeper Farmers Co-op here in Culpeper, and about 5 years ago we moved into town in order to be able to more effectively give back to the community, because we knew that we were both getting ready to retire. So when this opportunity to run for school board came up, I gave it a lot of thought, and I decided that we didn't need to leave to chance the person who was going to fill this seat, that I felt like I had the qualifications and the background, especially with my business experience. I managed a $35 million a year budget, which also included a 5-year capital improvements plan, and with almost 1.3 million square feet of buildings and several hundred acres, I think that someone with some business background would be an asset to the board.
Thank you, Mr. Dunphy. We will now move to our first of 3 questions we have for the school board candidates tonight. We will start with Ms. Barbie Brown and move to my right. The first question tonight is, the school board is currently working on drafting a policy for social media usage by school board and staff. What items should be addressed in this policy?
I believe that the first thing that I would need to find out is why this has come up. I don't know if there's been a lot of infractions. I know students have had infractions on social media. I know there's a policy for students that exists for infractions that may cause problems within the school community itself. So the social media policy or area that they're now delving into, the first thing is to try to determine what other schools are doing in the state, figure out the legal aspects of what can or cannot. This is a First Amendment area. You do not want to be infringing on someone's First Amendment rights. People do have a right to an opinion. One of the things I would like to see changed countrywide would be civility towards each other, regardless of your opinions or your beliefs or how adamant you are in them. People do have the right to express themselves. How they express themselves may cause problems, and perhaps some of the problem within social media is how things are being put out, and then to whether it's true or not. Most people have gotten pretty tired of Facebook and looking at all of the, is it fake news or is it just to stir people up? So I think the first thing is to figure out where is the problem to determine if there is a need for a policy. I am not personally aware of any problems within the school system, but I wouldn't be because I haven't been there for a year. I retired last year. I've been out a year and a half now. So hopefully that's answered your question. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question for Ms. Baker. The school board is currently working on drafting a policy for social media usage by school board and staff. What items should be addressed in this policy?
Thank you. Right now, I believe that particular determination is with our admin committee, who are working on the idea of the policy. Our school system have many policies, and the policy that students must adhere to is a very long and very comprehensive social media policy. And of course, kids are kids, and they may, at times, not adhere to what would be correct or permitted. If the students have a policy and have something to adhere to, then there is no reason why the staff, including the school board members, shouldn't be held to that same standard. What is good for the goose is good for the gander. And the school board and anyone in the school system should serve by example. And if we want our students to maintain civility and to be respectful of everybody and not to incite or to cause anyone to feel bad, then we all should abide by the same kind of policy. Nothing is to stop anyone from having their First Amendment rights. Everyone is entitled to free speech. Everyone can keep that, but just how do you speak? Be respectful, be honorable, and don't do anything that you wouldn't want your mom or dad to see. And that would go the same for adults and school board members. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Durham? The school board is currently working on drafting a policy for social media usage by school board and staff. What items should be addressed in this policy?
First of all, teachers and law enforcement are held to a slightly different standard because of our public appearance. So one of the things that I think is necessary is just simply becoming aware of that fact, that when you're out in public, and I taught in Culpeper for 23 years, there were many times that I actually had to move my drink away when I was sitting at a table in a restaurant because I had a student who came to come and sit down with me. Because I was the appropriate age. But again, it's knowing the things that you can say. But again, I think leading by example. So if we are going to have these policies and we are going to use social media, then we as school board members and as staff need to use it appropriately. And I don't think that it's because we're using it inappropriately at this point either. I just think it needs to be a policy so that there is no question, and also so that students can see that adults, the social media aspect of life doesn't continue, it continues on and on and on. And with today's students, they need to understand that what they do on social media follows them forever. And at some point, they're going to go to a job and someone's going to say to them, so, I really think you're a great candidate for this job. Now can I see your social media page?
Thank you. Ms. Luckenbill, same question. The school board is currently working on drafting a policy for social media usage by school board and staff. What items should be addressed in this policy?
Respectfully, Jeff, I have to reframe that question a little bit. We are not drafting a policy. As a current member of the board and chair of the admin committee, we are not drafting a policy right now. What is occurring with that is the board briefly discussed it at a work session last month, I believe, and decided to send it to admin for further evaluation. So we had an admin committee meeting last week, I believe, and our legal counsel was out of town, so he has not had a chance to sink into that policy. So as it stands right now, we are nowhere with this. It is in the hands of legal counsel to discuss it and then bring it back to admin. We do know there are no surrounding counties in Virginia with a similar sort of policy. So we have a lot to look at. We need legal consultation. We did look at what does exist to see if it's even a possibility, because it is a free speech right, and we have to be very careful of that.
Thank you. Ms. Burnett, same question.
Thank you. I do believe that school safety, or the safety of our children, is number one. I believe that we have the rules in place for the students, and as others have said, I believe that if we have these rules and policies in place for the students, then the school board and the staff should follow suit. We have to be role models and examples to the students, and I think that they need to be aware also that it does follow through to their adulthood, that what they post does have consequences. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. Mr. Dunphy, same question. Would you like me to repeat it?
No, I'm good. I would say that any large business is going to have a policies and procedures manual, and HR generally consults with their lawyers before they add anything like this. But just talking about social media in general, I think civility is very important, and that should be something that's stressed, and employees should know that if they get outside the bounds of civility and bullying, that would have consequences on their employment with the organization. I also want to say that I've participated in the mock interviews process with the seventh grade or juniors for several years, and that's one of the questions we always ask the juniors is how do you think your social media will affect your ability to get a job? And I found that for the students, generally they feel that they're not doing a lot of posting on social media, and they're being very respectful when they do. And so I would expect that the staff and all would follow those same things, yeah.
Thank you. Second question, we'll start with Mr. Dunphy and work our way back to the left. It has been stated, after graduation, students choose one of 3 E's: education, enlistment, or employment. How can we prepare our students to choose the path best for them?
Well, I think that the students need, when they get a well-rounded education that gives them a lot of different experiences, and is probably the best way. We have, I know I met a lot of kids that are in the FFA program, and it always impresses me with their ability to communicate in an event like this or things like that. So I think that in general, the school system has to give them a variety of experiences that lets them kind of test their abilities. You know, we want to do some career and technical education, but we don't want it to be such a limiting thing that the kids never get an opportunity to be creative. We don't necessarily want to turn out kids who their only goal in life is to right away go into the job market. We also want them to be creative thinkers and to look beyond maybe the boundaries of Culpeper for their future plans. So,
Thank you. Ms. Burnett, it has been stated, after graduation, students choose one of 3 E's: education, enlistment, or employment. How can we prepare our students to choose the path best for them?
Having been in the schools for 10 years, I actually taught JROTC. I taught in graphic design. I've taught in, the CAD system. Lots of technical, after-school, options were offered to the students. I believe that there's another option coming soon, which is that career and technical. I was fascinated to learn that they'd be teaching cosmetology and, cosmetology, I think I wrote it down here. Culinary arts, industrial maintenance, EMT, cybersecurity, and 5 building trades along with computer-aided design will be offered with that Career and Technical Education Center that will be offered to sophomores, juniors, and seniors. And I think that will help them to get a taste of the different options and fields that they could possibly go into. And I've also heard that there was some research being done for UVA to possibly purchase land in Culpeper and maybe have a satellite campus here. And, that would also give students an option. I believe it's for medical schooling. And as someone who attends school board meetings, I just wanted to say that I'm excited to work with the current school board and, can't wait to be a team player and help with all these exciting, wonderful things that we have ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Luckenbill, would you like me to repeat the question?
I think I have it.
Okay.
So I think for a long time, our school systems have well-prepared kids for college. That's something we've been very good at. We have missed, well, when we were growing up, a lot of us, there was vocational ed, and then we moved away from that. And we prepped kids for college well who were on that track, but we missed a lot of children. And it is swinging back now to pick up kids in career and tech. We did, Culpeper Schools last spring did a signing day. Athletes sign for their colleges, but we did a signing day for our students who are going into the workforce and into the military. And I was not there, but I think there were 200 people filled the Board of Supervisors room that day. So we are learning to celebrate our children who are going into the armed forces and who are going into the workforce as much as we celebrate the children who go to college. All are equal and valuable. And our career in tech facility's right, Ms. Burnett's correct, it's going to be phenomenal. The programs we're going to offer are going to blow this community out of the water, and it is something for us to look forward to. So yes, I think we now are at a point that we are hitting education, enlistment, and employment successfully in Culpeper schools.
Thank you. Ms. Durham?
What I would like to say, I think, is one of the biggest things that Culpeper is doing is the Career and Technical Center. But not only that, it's providing students with a stackable credential. So they could get a credential in something, and it gives them the ability to take that credential and either go into the workforce or take that credential and go to college. So we're preparing them to give them multiple paths, and I think that's one of the biggest things is that, as Ms. Luckenbill said, we did step away from that workforce training that is really necessary. And I will never forget the day when I worked in the Culpeper Middle School and they took out all of the wood shop class and all of the things that students, and I thought, what a horrible thing. I said, people still need to build houses, they still need to learn how to lay bricks. And when Piedmont closed and there wasn't any small engine repair anymore, who's going to fix your lawnmower? So these are some things that Culpeper has been missing for a while, and now we're getting back there. But we also need to know that, it's not about the jobs that we know about right now, it's also about the jobs that we don't know about. For example, how many of us realized that Amazon, AWS, and the cloud was going to be so big 5 years ago, 10 years ago? There are jobs that our students are going to see that we don't even know about right now. So we need to be able to prepare them by giving them the necessary skills, whether that is in workforce or in academics or a combination of all of the above. They have to be ready to have any kind of job, and especially for those ones who we don't even know what the job is. I mean, a cloud practitioner, who knew what that was? So those are the kind of things that I think we need to be prepared for. And with all of the things that are going on in Culpeper and our location, we have the ability to actually train students in high school to get those jobs when Amazon is built in 3 years and start making a lot of money and support a family. So I think that we're doing a great job.
Thank you. Ms. Baker?
Thank you. Could you repeat the question?
It has been stated, after graduation, students choose one of 3 E's, education, enlistment, or employment. How can we prepare our students to choose the path best for them?
Thank you. Well, in Culpeper County, I think we are very fortunate because career days start back in the elementary school. It's part of our standards to start an awareness of what is available, what is out there, what might your interests be. In Culpeper, we're very, very interested in what children are interested in, and we try to meet their needs going along their interests. We have a great educational program, so when you talk education, you're assuming higher education. And Culpeper County does have dual enrollment, AP classes, Germana scholars. We also have Mountain Vista Governance School, and that is a math and science program. Those children are definitely on their way to a higher education and college placement in universities. We also have enlistment. Enlistment is not a, I can't do anything else. Enlistment is a career. We have to be able to serve our young men and women who want to join the service. We have the Marine ROTC program in our 2 high schools, and they turn out some of the finest young men and women that you will ever want to see. They have won national awards from Culpeper County. So we should not look as enlistment as just do that. That is a chosen career, we should support the men and women that want to do that by supplying plenty of opportunities for them to be with the ROTC program. And in terms of our workforce and employment, we have teamed with business partners to find out exactly what we're looking for. And our career and technical education school will open soon, and they will have so many opportunities to find so many credentials to join the workforce in a field that they are most interested in. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Brown?
Thank you. I believe the first thing that has to happen is have communication. What students are interested in is certainly part of it, but making them knowledgeable about what is out there too. When I was an assistant principal at Culpeper County High School, we convinced the school board to offer the ASVAB, Armed Service Vocational Aptitude Battery Test, to every junior in the school so that this test that is free would give indications to students of things they might be interested in based on some of the skills that test seemed to pull out of them. How would any student here know they want to be an airline mechanic? And yet those were some of the things that came out from the ASVAB test. I think my job was always to find the answer. No matter what it is, find the answer. In the case of finding what to do for students, I believe students need to have more understanding, perhaps more technology information on the web from the school system on what careers exist within the county, what careers exist other places. The credentials that we offer are amazing. The first year that we had credentials and I was at CCHS, a young man came up to me before he left school one day and he said, you know, you told me to take graphic design. And I said, yes, I did. And he said, you know, I took both courses and I have a job in Manassas at $50,000 a year. I said, I'm excited for you. Make sure you continue to work at that level so that I can retire someday and have Social Security taken care of. So we have many things that work for our system. We just need a better job of communicating with the students and their parents as to what options are there for the students. We have the highest ranking of students finishing college in Culpeper and have for decades. That's something to be proud of, but so is every student leaving our school system able to have some type of employment or move towards higher education so that we can have a literate population that hopefully comes back and works for us in this county. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. We will stay with you for our final question of the evening. What do you see as a key component in providing school safety?
The question that everyone asks, and the question that always the answer is, the first thing that's important to me is school safety. Obviously, that's an answer. But what is school safety? I had a student drop in my office from band on his way to the cafeteria and say, Joe Blow has a gun. When I looked at his face, I thought, oh my God, Joe Blow really has a gun. All that happened because the student was connected to me, and all that happened is because he was connected to the school and the teachers in the school. Part of having school safety is certainly having the deputies, certainly having the person who is the resource officer. Those are all components that make us safe. The entranceway taken care of, someone around the grounds to make sure that people are not coming in or going out. But connections to our children, a retention of students, teachers, and staff is very important. And we don't have great retention of our staff. It seems as though it's okay that you're not top-notch in your first year, so I'm gonna put you on a plan of improvement, and I'm gonna see about what that plan, whether you can come up to that level or not. My job was to help you get to that level. My job was to make sure that the children were educated. I think one of the things that will give us the greatest improvement in safety and the comfort is to have a stable workforce within our schools where people know the staff and know who they are. People don't know me that well, but like I said, anyone that knows you will knows me will tell you it is about the children. And our children can have the best by having more consistency of the people they walk into a classroom for. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Baker, same question. What do you see as a key component in providing school safety?
I believe we've run a gamut in all levels of society as to what will keep our children the safest. I believe that schools are probably one of the safest places your children can be during the day. However, we have worked very hard in Culpeper to make sure that all things are in place that possibly can be. And I think what we're working on now is the next step. It's the mental health part of it, the trauma-derived child. When you look at some of the children that have had problems, all of them had some kind of trauma in their life. And the teachers have thousands of students in their school. We have many students, and we only get to know them over a period of time. Retention of teachers does help you know one child from year to year, but our parents know their few children far more than we will ever get to know their children. Parents have to have their eyes, ears open as well. We have to keep a strong watch on our children, and when there are signals, we need to learn to read them. And all of that comes in training through a mental health and in finding out how we can best reach children that actually are calling out and need to be reached. And our parents have to be supportive as well. And if they see something, they have to learn to say something. If you hear something, say something. And let us know what's going on with your children so we can best help you, because we only see them during the day. They are your children. Help us to know what they need so that we can help them the best that we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Durham, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I'm good, thank you. One of the key things, I think, is communication. So I think that we need to be able to communicate with our parents as well as our faculty and our administration. So because of the Culpeper being a very close community, as many of you have heard this evening, there are a lot of us who are back here to support that community. So obviously our school system has done a great job. And we are a very tight community, and that's how we want to continue. And I think Ms. Brown brings up a great point in the fact that we want to keep who we have so we know who is in our buildings. And so when you're a parent and you walk in, you see the same faces, and it's not like a question every year, well, where did such and such go? And all of the shifting around that goes on. Maintaining consistency within the buildings, I think, is one of the key things to safety. But I also really feel like we need a school resource officer so that we have that extra support, who has the knowledge, who has the resources, who has the training, and can provide those training and resources to our staff. Also that they're there to help speak to parents. And I think that's another thing we need to help, is to talk to parents and have them come in and tell them the things. And I know the in plain sight thing that parents don't know anything about. How do we get parents involved so that they know what to look for in a mental health crisis? How do we get them involved? So that's a step I think we need to figure out. And we need to learn about trauma-informed education and how we can get our students and our faculty to identify it, and what do we do once we've found that. So I think all of those things, but again, my biggest thing is that Culpeper is a tight community, and it is a very safe place to live, and I think we are doing a great job, but keeping us in the same place where we are requires us to continue that education and research.
Thank you. Ms. Luckenbill.
As a licensed professional counselor in the community, it does my heart good to hear my peers talking about mental health and communication and involvement with parents and all those true and wonderful things that are so important to school safety. And Culpeper Schools is doing that in some pretty fantastic ways. In addition to those, we have taken hard measures in the schools. We have, each school has a vestibule now. If you've been in a school lately, you can't just walk in the front door anymore. Every one of our schools has a vestibule. We have, thanks to the work of some board members, we have security films in our, that coat the windows, that make them bulletproof, shatterproof-ish to the best of our ability. We have armed security officers in CCHS and Eastern View. We do have school resource officers in our schools. I believe it is the goal of the sheriff to have an armed SRO in every school every day. And that, to the best of his ability and his staff, that occurs. We are providing the hard measures. With our buses, we have stop arm cameras on our buses that catch cars that pass by, which is successful. That's a partnership with the sheriff's office. We have those on 5 buses, I believe. We've updated our swipe cards for teachers that of course they can get in the front doors, but now they can get in and out of a playground door quickly. So we have taken hard measures to keep our children safe, in addition to the mental health component, which is equally important. We do the best we can. It's scary for people to send their children to school sometimes, and we appreciate the trust that the community puts in us.
Thank you. Ms. Burnett?
Thank you. I agree that we do need to look at this in multifaceted ways. We need to look at the mental health issues. We need to look at keeping the kids safe from, an active shooter and whatnot. Consistency is key. I've been in the schools where I was substituting so often that the kids trusted me. They came up to me. They spoke with me. They let me know when a fight might happen. They let me know if something else happened, and then I could report it to the proper channels. Communication is key. Mental health, awareness is key. Culpeper was the first school division in Virginia to approve policy made possible by a state law giving schools the ability to arm guards who meet certain criteria. I'm excited and I'm hopeful about the progress that we're making. We have that, and we also have the new social and emotional learning competencies where they're teaching kids about self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. I think this helps children, and we're getting them in the elementary age, teaching them, about self-awareness and social skills so that they can deal with situations and handle situations better. And then, to have the armed security in the schools and the support of the sheriff's office, I think all of us working together, I think maybe information, educating parents as well might be beneficial and help us all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dunphy.
This is a really big issue for the community and for the school system, and obviously for the parents. I think I've been doing a little looking into what's been going on. I've read up about the school system's school security officers, and they're trained in order to carry a firearm. But I also noticed that the schools have a behavioral intervention specialist in all of the schools have one of these. And this person works with the teachers to help kids who are having difficulty, maybe some have had childhood trauma or other types of stress. We've had a few suicides in our school system in the past year, and so having the staff trained to spot, suicide, and also, I'd also like to talk about the school community a little bit. It's important that the school community be nurturing, and I spent some time in Culpeper County High School with the E Squared program. I was a coach in the spring semester, and I was, quite frankly, I was there during change of class and things like that, and the high school hallways get filled up with kids, and I was really impressed with the way those children interacted and were caring. I thought they were a caring group. And so I really have a kind of, I don't know if it's high hopes, but I'd like to say that I have high confidence that the school system is doing a lot of things in order to secure the environment.
Thank you, Mr. Dunphy. We will now move to closing remarks. Each candidate will get 2 minutes, and we'll start back with Ms. Brown.
Thank you. My closing arguments, I would like to say that trauma and social emotional learning have always really been part of a school system. They're noticed more. They're more on the front page, just like safety. But those are community issues also. The student who was creating a problem and was perhaps making it unsafe at the beginning of school went to his parents first, and his parents went to the school. I'd like to see the student also be willing to go to teachers, staff members, anybody. I want them to feel comfortable. I also, in my closing, would like to say that as a teacher, I worked for the student first and the parent second. It's how I always figured it. And as a school board member, I would be in there as a representative of my district and the community, but also there to help with the taxpayers and make sure that the money is spent correctly. The budget is a very large budget. There needs to be more trust between the school board and the board of supervisors, but that comes with openness and honesty and a trust that needs to be built. The community issues that go on with suicide, there is nothing worse than being in a school system and having to deal with a death. I dealt with too many, and there is nothing harder than that. We have a lot that we can do as a community. I am happy to step up to the plate and offer to run for this office so that perhaps I can make things better in Culpeper. I believe I'm uniquely qualified to do that. And as such, I would ask you for your vote, and we'll be very happy when this election season is over. I want to thank everybody, including Mr. Say. You've done an excellent job, and hopefully this is the last time I do a little chit-chat this way.
Thank you. Ms. Baker.
Okay, there is so much to say in so little time. I really think we need a new rule. If you're young, you can have 2 minutes, and if you're really old with a lot of life, you need more time. So that's been one of my problems. But in the meantime, I didn't say anything personal to start out, but I've been married. I guess we're working in our 4th decade. So far, so good. We have 2 daughters who went through the Culpeper schools. They did very well. They worked hard. A William and Mary graduate and a JMU graduate, both gainfully employed, happily married, 5 grandchildren. We've lived in Culpeper 35 years, so I have lived and voted in the East Fairfax district for 35 years, and I would really appreciate the opportunity to serve a 2nd term because there are so many things coming, so many things that we are almost near completion, and I need another term. So I would really love to work for 4 more years for the kids in Culpeper, because for 38 years, 26 of them in Culpeper working in gifted education. I also taught in Iceland, Northern Japan, Southern Japan, and Italy with the Department of Defense dependent schools, and I started in New Jersey in a city school. So Culpeper is heaven, and I'm really glad to be here and want to continue to work on the board for all of you. Our 3 main jobs: hire a superintendent, we've got the best; make policy, we don't make laws, we don't pass tax laws or anything, and to make sure that the money we spend are financially the best bet for your money in the school system. And so far, I think our current board has done a great job, and I really loved working with every one of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Durham.
In closing, I know I need the microphone. I know I'm generally loud enough. In closing, I would like to thank the Culpeper Chamber for arranging this event, Jeff Say, our moderator, Germanna Community College for providing this space, the Culpeper Media Network, and I'd also like to say thank you to all of my fellow candidates. We are all here to help support our school system. I believe that I would provide strong leadership and sound decisions with my educational background and knowledge of the community. I've been in this community all of my life. My parents have moved here in 1968, and they're in the audience tonight. I've went through this school system. I raised my daughter in this, and she is now at JMU, so I have invested all of my life to this community. My driving force is a passion for ensuring that students continue to receive a quality education so that they can be afforded all of the opportunities that they deserve. Although this is an election, we are all here for the same cause. I hope that you will remember to vote for me, Paige Durham, so that I can continue to pay it forward by continuing the excellent education that Culpeper is known to have, and I would like to say thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Ms. Luckenbill.
Yes. One more thing about the CTE facility. We break ground on that October 17th, and it's just phenomenal, people. So we are going to get the ball rolling on that on October 17th. Please look for it in the newspaper if you can't attend. I would like to say I appreciate the kind atmosphere of this election season for school board candidates and the community at large. It's a risk to run in an opposed race and stick your neck out there. So for everyone who's doing that, thank you. Your hearts are in the right places. I look forward to working with my fellow board members, whoever they are, for another term on the board, for the school system, the community, cooperating with other elected officials, to make this the best school system that we can for Culpeper County. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Burnett.
Yes, I'd like to thank Jeff Say and Culpeper Media, Germanna College, and the Chamber for hosting this event and helping us with this event. It has been a pleasure to come out and speak with everyone. I'm so thankful that you all are here. I moved to Culpeper 16 years ago, and I had an opportunity to leave after 3 years. And I said, no, honey, I don't want to leave this community. I like it too much. I was coaching cheerleading. I was substitute teaching. I said, this is the place where I want to raise my kids. I want my kids to be held accountable. I think that there's opportunity here. I think that it's just a wonderful place to raise your children. And I appreciate everyone in the community. I've made so many relationships with people across the community. I feel like when we work together, we get great things done. And I hope that I get out and get to visit more people in the community as I continue to campaign. And I hope that we can speak one-on-one. And again, thank you for your time, and thank all the other candidates as well for their enthusiasm for our schools. And I'm excited. I can't wait. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dunphy.
I'd like to take just a second to talk about what kind of a board member I will be. I noticed one of my former bosses out in the audience there, and I think he can back up what I'm saying here. When I do things, I ask a lot of questions. And so as a board member, don't expect me to walk in there on day one and demand changes. I'm going to spend some time learning and finding out what's already going on. And I know from my experience volunteering in the schools that there's a lot of good happening there. And so I want to keep that up. I want to make sure that that we're providing our children with a well-rounded education that includes time for creativity and the arts. I'm also very excited about the Career and Technical Center that's opening. I was involved in my working life with Germanna Community College and getting some students into those programs for certain job skills, and so I'm really looking forward to that being more available for the students at the high school level. And I think it's really important that we maintain a quality workforce, and we do the most that we can to keep teachers here longer. I think that's one of the issues that when I've knocked on doors, people have talked to me about, and I've knocked on like 900. So anyway, we have some really good teachers, but we find that some of them drift away to other school systems, and we have to find a way to keep them with us for longer. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'd like to thank all the candidates from both races for chatting with us tonight, informing us, and I appreciate everybody running for office. Thank you so much.